Good morning, Copers. Sorry there. I was just frantically trying to change the Twitch title. It still won't take it. Are you not allowed to put Jew? Oh, it's ho. That's what it is. You can't say ho. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Good morning, Copers. Yes. It is Tina Turner week. You can stop asking now. You can stop asking every other day for me to do a Tina Turner week. We're doing it. We're here. It has arrived. How are you guys doing? It's Monday. We had a new episode of YCSP last night, and we have a lot of stuff to go through today. There's so much stuff has happened. I'm not going to be talking about some of it. As usual, I'm going to stay focused on the stuff that I feel like I can actually contribute to. Let's get into it. Starting with Ethan Ralph has announced that him and Gabe Hoffman are setting up an MMA match between the two of them. So I think I speak for everyone when I say finally some real content. Not that this will ever actually materialize into a fight, but a guy can dream. Let me have my dreams. Boulder, Colorado, a flamethrower attack on Jews over the weekend. Supporters that walk to remember Gaza hostages firebombed in Boulder, Colorado.
Stay.
Mega Keon sent $5 white, 96% polish, Brazilian here, just took a Mensa test and came back with 145 plus IQ. Going to have a tourist visa interview for the US on Friday. Wish me luck since they denied me last time.
Good luck. How did you get your... Oh, maybe... I was going to say, how did you get your IQ score back? But it's maybe in Brazil, they just let you have it because it's... the reason they stopped doing it in America is because of like a Texas law. 145 is good. That's really good. Never trust a Brazilian. All right. Anyway, so let's watch some actual news coverage of this.
Shauna, we have more breaking news right now. The FBI investigating a targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado.
Several people were injured when someone used an incendiary device on demonstrators. A suspect has been taken into custody. Now, that attack happened in the downtown area near the historic courthouse at an event organized by the group Run for Their Lives. The group has been holding demonstrations regularly since Thanksgiving of 2023 following the Hamas attack on Israel.
He's right there. He's throwing Molotov cocktails right there.
This is cell phone video that was captured right after the attack, and you can see people pouring water on some of the victims. The group's organizer told our NBC station in Denver that a man was...
Why does the terrorist look like Ethan Klein?
...waiting for them at the courthouse, and several people were set on fire.
I saw like this big fire go up, and it looked like a lot of the front area of the courthouse, like the grass, I think it's like cement too right there, was on fire. I jumped over this like tiny little fence over to these two ladies on the grass, and it was two older ladies just like kind of rolling around a little bit. Yeah, I was just like, how can I help? And they had like really bad burns all up on their legs. You just obviously think about like, oh my God, I hope they're okay. Like, I know I wasn't there long enough to be able to know, and like I'm just like, I just hope that they're okay.
Two senior law enforcement officials.
He's been charged with murder, which implies somebody died from this.
Tell NBC News at least one person is in critical condition. The suspect had minor injuries and was taken to a hospital. His name has not yet been released. Meanwhile, the investigation is still very active, and authorities say it's simply too early to speculate about a motive. But law enforcement expert Dr. Errol Suthers spoke with us today about a concerning trend this attack may be a part of.
I would say the only trend that we have is that hate crimes continue to grow. They continue to target people that are based on race, religion, sexual orientation, and was something that we're tracking very closely, and unfortunately we're not able to mitigate in a way that we really should.
The state's Attorney General Phil Weiser characterized the attack as appearing to be a hate crime. He said his office is ready to support local prosecutors when the time comes to fight.
A horrific attack in Boulder, Colorado. This happened yesterday. Police say that a man tried to set people on fire during a weekly event to support Israeli.
So he's got like a spray bottle with some kind of fuel, alcohol perhaps, some kind of Molotov fuel, and then he's like, he's using a lighter and he's spraying people. Also, check out the
hostages in Gaza.
Check out the beer
8
gut.
people were hurt here. A suspect is in custody.
Look, man, I'm not saying you should do a terror attack. In fact, don't do that. But you're in America. Why not just get, what the kids call a pew pew? You know what I mean? Like, in for a penny, in for a pound. You're gonna try to set people on fire? Why not just, don't do it. I just don't get it.
Officials are now calling this a possible terror attack. Jason Allen is in Boulder, Colorado, with the latest on this story. Jason, good morning to you. Sounds terrible. What can you tell us?
Good morning. Online booking information from the sheriff's office here in Boulder County shows that overnight the suspect has been charged with first-degree murder with extreme indifference, although authorities have not officially announced any deaths from the attack that happened here. The area immediately behind me here on Pearl Street in Boulder is where it happened, a normal weekly event that this time went terribly wrong.
Stay away, stay away.
Cell phone video shows the chaotic moments as people rush to treat burn victims with water after police say a man allegedly used a makeshift flamethrower and bottles filled with flammable liquid to attack.
Oh, he had like a whole ass backpack on.
A group gathering on Boulder's Pearl Street Sunday.
It was chaos. People were writhing on the ground. It was traumatic to watch.
Crowds tended to the 8 people aged 52 to 88 who were injured in the attack. Others stood around the alleged suspect, who was just feet away, yelling anti-Israel expressions. The FBI says 45-year-old Mohammed Solomon targeted the Boulder Run for Their Lives march, which raises awareness for
Mohammed Solomon.
Israeli hostages in Gaza.
It is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism.
Every Sunday for more than a year, the organization has marched Pearl Street, ending outside the old courthouse.
We've been waiting for us gasoline with Molotov cocktails, and once we gathered, he decided to attack.
Omer Shaka was leading yesterday's walk.
It's hard to share the moment of you see flames behind your friends and your community. There are obviously screams, it's chaotic.
Investigators are now digging into the suspect's background and social media posts, trying to determine if he allegedly acted alone, was directed by a terrorist organization, or was influenced by extremist ideology. U.S. officials confirmed to CBS News the suspect, Solomon, is an Egyptian national who arrived at LAX in 2022 and overstayed his non-immigrant visa.
We are fully illegal 100% in making sure the charges we bring hold the attacker fully accountable.
Solomon is facing several other felony charges as well, including the use of an incendiary device and crimes against the elderly, and he is booked into jail here with a $10 million bond.
No one is illegal. Right, Libs? Okay. All right, moving on. There he is again. Also, riots in Paris, apparently in the aftermath of a football victory, or what we like to call soccer over here. And But everybody's talking about the racial demographics of the rioters because there's videos like this coming out of Paris over the weekend. Kickball riots. Look what they did to my country, dog. Look what they did to my continent. North Africans and Arabs devastate Paris. Tyler Wilson says the riots started before the soccer game. So the media is just using that as an excuse. And then people were saying, oh, that's a white guy doing that. That guy could definitely be an Algerian. So even Grok is saying it's because of the soccer game. Light-skinned Muslims, yeah. Highly likely.
2 people have died and 559 have been arrested during Champions League final celebrations in Paris. This comes after Paris Saint-Germain won their first ever European Champions League football final, soundly beating Inter Milan 5-0 in Munich. With more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Nikki Schiller in the newsroom. Nikki, bring us up to date on what the French authorities are saying.
Yeah, we just say nons around here, but even if there was a white guy in the riot, we just call that a fellow traveler.
Interior Ministry, Samantha, have confirmed that 2 people have died and 192 others have been injured during those celebrations, as you say, after Paris Saint-Germain won that Champions League trophy final against Inter Milan.
You ever been so stoked that your soccer team won that you just straight up murdered someone? Are you even a real fan?
Munich. Now, the 2 people who died, the authorities are telling us it is a 17-year-old boy who was stabbed in the chest in the town of Dax during some of those celebrations. The other person to die, a 23-year-old man who was driving a scooter through central Paris and was hit by a car. Now, the prosecutor's office say that...
And what would the race of the victims be?
Driver was detained, but that they tested negative for drugs and also alcohol. Now, we know that there were a number of clashes in the centre of Paris, and indeed 559 people have been detained. Flares were set off, fireworks as well, and 22 police officers were injured. Now, one of those police officers is in an induced coma. Now, local media are reporting that he was hit in the eye by one of those fireworks. We've also seen a number of cars burnt out in Paris, and the Interior Ministry giving us figures saying that there were 692 fires.
Long history of football hooliganism. I mean, this seems like a bit much, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I remember there was something like this happened in Canada when Vancouver won the Grey Cup or something like that. And there was it got a little bit, but they weren't like setting cars on fire in multiple different locations. Like, this seems like a bit much, you know what I mean?
Of which there were 264 in vehicles. So it gives you a sense of the scale of the number of fires that were lit during those demonstrations after that win. We also know that a number of shops were attacked.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, they lost, whatever it was.
30 people detained around a Foot Locker store in central Paris. Now, the authorities have been responding. The mayor of Dax, where that young teenage boy was stabbed to death, said his thoughts are with the young victim, his family and friends. He went on to say, "We are floored by all the drama tonight."
So you riot when you win, you riot when you lose. I don't know, man. Maybe these sports ball people are a problem.
It is advisable to quickly shed light on these facts in order to severely punish the perpetrator. So the authorities, as I said, detaining a number of people, 559 arrested during the incidents in Paris. We've seen water cannon being used and riot police on the streets. We know that there were around 5,400 officers who were deployed in case there was any trouble last night. When it comes to the team, Samantha, they are back in Paris this afternoon, and we are expecting a victory parade through the centre of Paris, down the Champs-Élysées. And of course, I would imagine that there'll be a lot of police out on the streets there to police that event when tens of thousands of PSG fans are expected. We're also expecting President Macron to welcome.
Anyway. Donut operator reveals ridiculous reason why Idubbbz stopped being friends with him.
So like he went to a range day with me one time. Like we used to talk a lot about content creation and stuff. And COVID rolls around, I get bored at home, so I make an OnlyFans where I'm showing my meat.
Really?
And, so, well, basically, I'm taking a steak and I'm rating a steak. And like,
see, that's the reaction that you're supposed to have. Genius.
I thought it was funny. So I'd be wearing like just an apron. Of course, I'm wearing like boxers underneath. And I'd reach down and be like, "This is my OnlyFans," and this is an A5 Wagyu from down the street. And I would talk about it. And I sent it to Ian, and he got mad and called me and like said I was making fun of Anissa, and like I wasn't. I just thought it was a funny bit because I was sitting at home during COVID. And
you'll never understand what it's like to be an ally.
Yeah, it was. He like said stuff like that. And, just like haven't talked to him since. That was like 5 years ago.
Over that?
Yeah, and I've like texted him and tried to reconnect with him. He just won't talk to me anymore.
That's crazy. But I wanted to like, there's something going on here that I've noticed, and this is like people who are sort of, I don't know how to say it other than just saying living in sin. They get very sensitive around people who are not that, and they feel like they're constantly being judged, even if you're not judging them. But it's like because they know they're doing something wrong, they project it onto the people around them who aren't, and then they start to like feel resentment, and then they distance themselves from the people who would actually be good influences on them in their lives, because this weird like feeling of shame and inadequacy that you have. So long story short, don't be a sinner. Also, what I just said, keep that in mind for when we get to the Glenn Greenwald stuff that's coming. We're going to talk a lot more about Glenn Greenwald, I'm afraid. So keep in mind what I just said. Idubbbz also put out a new statement about the cancellation of Creator Clash. He says, "I want to clear some things up now that Anissa and I are no longer a part of Creator Clash. When I announced CC3 and its new business model, the communication wasn't clear. Looking back on my video and the current reaction, it's obvious it was too vague. It remains true that I earned a fight purse for CC1 along with the other fighters, and we did not profit at all from CC2. After CC2 failed to raise any money for charity, we knew it was time for a different business model. We restructured so that the funds for our charity partner would be raised on Tiltify, separate and apart from the actual event." That doesn't really explain anything. So what? Basically, you sold tickets for profit, and then what, had a link where people could donate to charity if they wanted? That doesn't clear anything up for me, but We decided that this year we would take a profit share from the for-profit side of the event should the for-profit side succeed. I feel sorry for any confusion. Yeah, well, it wasn't going to succeed and it's not going to succeed. And yet the formula is so easy. Like if you just had feature fights like Ethan Ralph versus Gabe Hoffman, you could make so much money. If you're just willing to get your hands a little bit dirty, the bag is sitting there on the table for the taking. Kevin Costner sued by stunt double.
Hollywood star Kevin Costner is being sued by a stunt woman from one of his movies. The complaint was filed in Los Angeles County earlier this week. She is accusing Costner of sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. The suit stems from the filming of a scene on a movie set. NBC's Morgan Chesky following that story for us. Morgan, can you explain what she's alleging in this particular lawsuit?
Yeah, Kate, this stunt woman is named Devin Labella. She was working on Horizon 2. That was set to be the sequel to the Western Kevin Costner and his company had financed and he directed. And what she's alleging in this lawsuit, Kate, essentially is that protocols were broken, protocols that are put in place to protect actors and actresses, specifically related to sex scenes, to intimate scenes in movies. Labella is saying that whenever she arrived to shoot a scene one day, she was surprised by an intimate scene that she did not have the required 48-hour notice for. And she also said that during that 48-hour window is when actors are able to kind of discuss what's taking place with an intimacy coordinator. That coordinator was not on set when she said this scene took place. Now, since she's come out with these claims and this lawsuit, Costner's team has responded with a series of text messages between a movie's producer and Labella herself, where you can see Labella essentially thanking the movie team for the experience on working on the set, on the movie, saying, "I'm really happy it worked out the way it did. Have a great rest of the shoot and talk soon."
It's always like this. The women always like scream rape or whatever. And then you show the text messages where supposedly after they got raped, they're just like, "Oh, I had such a good time. Thanks." And it's like, yeah, you know, the problem is women have like got so deep down this like therapy culture that they've really bought into these ideas like, you know, the trauma, like you can be totally happy with something that happened and then 3 days later the trauma hits you and you're just overwhelmed and you can't function. It was like, but that's not, nobody that it doesn't know. That's not how it works. I've never experienced that personally, as at least I can say.
So you can see that there was some sort of at least positive communication. But as it stands right now, she says that she has suffered permanent trauma that will take years to address.
It also sounds like these protocols, like the intimacy coordinator and shit like that, that's all like new stuff that they started doing in Hollywood. Basically, it started with like the Me Too stuff. When the Me Too stuff started happening, so this is like recent developments in the last few years. They started doing this thing where they have like an intimacy coordinator and they come in and they make sure that you're comfortable with everything you're doing, which isn't like a terrible idea for that kind of work. But the idea that it's like some kind of law or whatever, you know what I mean? That you, if you don't do this, you're like breaking the law and you're liable. I mean, I don't know. It could be union rules or something. I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. It's to avoid lawsuits like this. Yeah, well, yes, exactly. But that doesn't mean you have to do it.
And Morgan, any other response yet from Kevin Costner?
His team did release a statement to the New York Post. I'll share with you just a brief portion of it. You can see Costner's attorney saying in part that Kevin always wants to make sure everyone's comfortable working on his films and takes safety on set very seriously. However, this claim by Devin Labella has absolutely no merit and is completely contradicted by her own actions and the facts, adding that he summed up this in a word, calling it a shakedown. Kate.
All right, Morgan Chesky following that. Thank you, Morgan.
Classic shakedown. I like how Kevin Costner is like filming the sex scene himself, but apparently it's a stunt double for the woman actor. Like, no, we need someone with a really, really hot body to film this scene. But not, but not for the guy. For the old man is fine. The show High Castle destroyed every swastika they used during the show. This tweet went really viral on Twitter over the weekend, showing them chopping up the Nazi swastikas. What does she look like? I don't know. She must have a great body, though, I would imagine. And then they burn it. The take that I kept seeing people say over and over is that, they clearly are, this is like a reverse form of worship where they are imbuing the swastika with a kind of mythical power by going through this performative overkill destruction of chopping it up and then burning it or whatever. And I get that take, but also it's just virtue signaling.
$100. Let the cope begin.
Yo, thank you, Titan. Thank you so much, man, for the big dono, getting us started here off as we go off on a new run. Hey, we had an incredible run that we finished up at the end of last week. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for that. It's just virtue signaling. They just they're like, the reason they take the time to chop it up like that is so that they have something to film, so that they have something to post, so that they can say, look how much we hate Nazis. Don't you hate Nazis, you guys? Basically, it's not actually some kind of like satanic worship or whatever. I get that take, and just because you're not necessarily conscious of what you're doing doesn't mean you aren't doing it. So I'm not saying it isn't satanic, but I'm saying that's not really what they're thinking, basically. Okay, if you watched YCSP last night, you saw a video of a bust that Alex Rosen did with like this weirdo diaper pedo. I don't want to show down here the video because there's like nudity, like the guy has his ass out and stuff like that. But it was a very funny bust. Yeah, I mean you can see here like a picture of him this is how he showed up wearing a diaper, and apparently he thought it was going to be like a young girl and her mom was meeting him. Colin Patrick McGuire, 21 of Chicago, was arrested during a predator poacher sting operation, believing he would be meeting a parent and an 11-year-old girl to abuse in Illinois. He donned a diaper and soiled it within 10 minutes of entering the sting house. McGuire, seems like a good way to get people to come over, is just be like, oh, my mom's cool with it. She's gonna be here. Don't worry. McGuire has long been an LGBTQ plus activist and identifies as pansexual. He has a baby diaper fetish and was seeking children to participate in it with him. He's arrested and charged with solicitation to meet a child and indecent solicitation of a child. He's currently being held without bond. And then this guy, you should watch the video. It's pretty funny if you haven't seen it. You can watch YCSP, or you can just go find Alex Rosen's tweet about it. This is the same guy here commenting just yesterday or just a couple days ago on this story from the New York Times. They said, pure evil transgender woman who viciously stabbed postal worker to death in New York City, sentenced to 15 years. Colin screams, she was defending herself. Free her. Was she defending? Was she defending herself? Let's take a look. Transgender woman who fatally stabbed postal worker inside New York City deli. Disgusting excuse for a human being.
Well, as the mother of says, yes, this is yet.
Pride Month's off to a great start between Glenn Greenwald, the pedo diaper fetishist being an LGBTQ activist, and the transgender person murdering a guy in a deli with a knife. Pride Month is really off to a great start this year.
Another senseless killing, over a trivial misunderstanding. Come before me.
White. I don't know about white. That thing's looking kind of Hispanic from where I'm sitting.
All too often. However, you did take responsibility early. And yes, proving someone's intent to kill is very difficult to do in these type of cases. So I understand
Shame Month.
Reasoning for making this offer. But it is still promised, and I'm going to honor that promise, a substantial sentence. So on your plea of guilty to manslaughter in the first
Pled guilty to manslaughter.
and as recommended by the district attorney, to a determinate sentence of 15 years to be followed by 5 years of post-release supervision. The surcharge will be deferred. That is the sentence of the court.
And the lawyer asked for 15 years. The lawyer asked for them to be put in a female prison, but no word on whether or not they're actually going to do that over there in New York. So here's the guy he killed, Ray Hodges, 36, father of two. Married? Married father of two? Resident father of two? Did he? Anyway. Cruz knifed Hodges after he confronted her, thank you for that, New York Post, about cutting him in line at the counter inside the bodega, later saying that he deserved it. So the Troon cut in line at the bodega, and the black guy was like, hey man, what are you doing? Hodges made a slur about her gender identity. So he misgendered the Troon and then got stabbed to death. What's the old saying? around transgenders never surrender. You know the one. around transvestites never seek respite. I forget how it goes, but you know the one. He relaxed. He called him a trans testicle. Okay, I'm sorry for subjecting you to more no jumper, but this guy that I went to debate, this Brandon guy, he got spat on and a knife pulled on him. I haven't watched this yet. Somebody sent this to me over the weekend. I think on Friday, actually. Anyway, it's only 7 minutes, so it's not too bad here.
He liked to wrestle in his own match and grab booty cheeks.
Damn.
He liked to defend
I like
pedophiles.
booty cheeks, that's for sure.
That's crazy. He liked to
I didn't defend anyone.
He liked to watch
Let's be honest. Did I defend the dude?
He liked to watch wee-wee.
No, exactly.
No.
So you're lying.
He liked to watch
He said I
wee-wee.
didn't defend him.
He liked to watch wee-wee.
I'm just saying, man.
The wee-wee watcher is out of control.
Yeah, so he hasn't
You gotta
uploaded to
get a
his
hold
channel
of
in
it.
6 months.
You bugging today. You watching wee-wees, you pedos, you got booty shorts on. Today has been a crazy day for you.
If you go beat up that pedophile,
Today's been a crazy
you're going to have a
day
lot
for
of cool points in the
Today's
streets
been
of LA.
crazy. Beat you up.
He probably would.
No, me. Beat you up.
You will beat me up?
Yes,
You
niggas
can't beat me up.
Stop bringing up
You
other
can't
niggas
beat me
who
up.
in jail. Nigga,
You
niggas
really
beat
think you
up.
could beat me up?
Nigga beat you up.
No, you can't.
You mean?
No.
Nigga
You
didn't
can't.
follow me outside.
I'm going to be outside as soon as this is over. If you feel that strongly, get cracking.
Follow me.
Follow you. I'm going to walk right outside, right past you.
Outside the building.
I'm going to walk right out the building. I'm going to walk right out the building, and you're going to do
We
nothing.
can do whatever you'd like to.
This guy's fronting so hard. Be for real, man. Do you think this guy would have a chance in a fight? Supposedly Brandon is like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, which I mean I take that with a grain of salt. But any kind of fight training along with a size and strength advantage, well, who are you kidding, man?
You just said you was gonna beat me up. Now we're gonna do whatever.
All right, we're not doing none of that. No fights. No fights.
Come outside the
No
You
fights.
see how niggas use coded language?
So we can do what you like to.
Can I peacefully say this?
The little skinny guy's getting nervous. He's rattling his twinkling knees together.
How niggas use coded language? He first said he want to fight me. Then he said we gonna do whatever you want to do. This just talks crazy. Like, listen, I'm not worried about your little high yellow ass, bro. For real.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight Brandon personally, that's kind of, Adam kind of did me dirty, putting me across from a giant gorilla like that. Put me across from some like scrawny tweaking, gangbanger. and then I can be the guy acting tough.
We both got our shirts on.
So Papoose claims he wrote 90% of Remy Ma's music, guys. Papoose apparently claims he wrote 90% of Remy Ma's music.
You Remy Ma right now. You changing up the story.
Nigga, you watch dicks. Shut
He
up.
said we could do. He said I'm gonna whoop your ass. Then said we could do whatever you want to do.
All right, bro.
Look,
you watch.
You know what I want to do? I want to podcast. Ignore all light skin.
I want you to stop watching Wee Wees and put some pants on.
I will do both of those for you.
When you wear
I will do both of those.
Yeah, no, not sloppy, doughy. He said I looked doughy.
I'll volunteer to see
Which I mean, I am a little doughy. I'm also like 44, father of 3, like shit.
Unbiasedly, I want you to go to Turkey and get your hairline replenished and get that ball spot filled in.
Shorts off.
Listen,
I'll do that when you take your booty shorts off.
Hey,
stop wearing
Donnie,
booty shorts off, nigga.
Take this nigga on a tour to Turkey to get his hairline replenished.
Stop playing. I play tennis racket shoes on, nigga. And get
they gonna revival your friend laughing at you.
It's funny. When you're funny, it's funny.
Your friend laughing at you. That's
here's
a damn
the thing.
shame.
He about to get beat up by a guy wearing booty shorts.
Hey, right, imagine you called the name and got whooped out by a nigga in booty shorts. That's crazy. That would be reality. That would be a reality.
I would love to see it. You wrestle on mats. We ain't seen you do nothing with your hands yet.
Hey, when you see it, you go. Well, you're not gonna see it. You're gonna be knocked out. Everybody else gonna see it.
The reality is this.
Show me. They gonna be watching.
Show me.
Man,
Suspect.
You know you want to make it home to your kids.
First it was if you call
me. You know you want to make it home to your kids.
Now you ain't gonna make it home to your kids. You see how the story? See how the story evolves?
Come show me.
First it was we was gonna catch a fade. Then we gonna do what you
Who
want
said I
to
was
do.
talking
Now
about more
it's
than
death
the fade?
threats.
Who
Now
said I
it's
was talking about more than the face?
Holy fuck, that's been a long 3 minutes. I got to see the part where he gets spat on.
You police ass.
You said you're not gonna make it home to your
Who
kids.
said anything about more than the fade?
What does that even mean?
You cannot make it home from a fade. You bitch ass
Listen,
nigga.
you cannot
Stop putting
make it
police
home
shit on me.
from a
Stop putting
fade.
police shit on me.
Boy, you like a true light
You
skinned
a federal
nigga.
faggot.
Hey.
You a federal faggot.
You should have that energy in that alley that day.
You a federal faggot.
You should have that energy in that alley that day.
Federal faggot.
I'm gonna listen.
We gotta watch this.
This is a fact.
He's a federal faggot and a wee wee watcher.
Can I get a word? Can I get a word? Can I get a word?
You're a wee wee watcher.
This is a fact.
You're a wee wee watcher.
This is a fact. I'm gonna say what I want to say.
And you
I
watch
call
wee
this
wees.
nigga Antoine Dotson and everything else. I'm still gonna come to no jumper. I'm gonna walk in and out this. If a want to do something, there's nothing but space and opportunity. Ain't worried about a light skin.
So they're blanking out the word nigga, which is so funny. Like, I don't even think that gets you demonetized or anything, but do you hear that every time like the audio cuts out? It's because he's saying nigga.
Period. So if that gay, he's always bringing up fighting. You can't get a nigga bringing up fighting, trying to put it on another nigga to do something.
So,
but I just caught you one. I just caught you one. Just like that. You are a
guys. Guys, come on.
Oh, they black. So he spat on him just there. They blacked it all out.
He knew he had a weapon. No weapon.
He pulled a knife.
What you gonna do?
Nothing. Let's do something, bitch. Let's do something, bitch. All right,
Niggas going so mad.
Nigga, I spit on you. Nigga, you ain't do nothing. Nigga, shut up. You a bitch. You a bitch. Nigga, that part. Nigga, shut up. Nigga, shut up. Nigga, shut up. Nigga, you got spit. Look what? Do something about it.
Such a good pod before this happened,
Nigga.
guys. It was so good.
Nigga,
Intelligent dialogue.
Fucking me.
I was just about to say that, you know.
What the?
I guess the other guy, he got fired from No Jumper after this for bringing a knife. Spitting on the dude and then pulling a knife. That really is a bitch move. That's a real bitch move, man. The funny thing is I'm not even sure, like, I wouldn't still bet on Brandon necessarily. I think Brandon would probably have a decent chance against. I have to see the knife.
Chuck Stakes.
Obviously, if you get him in the neck or something.
Exhaustive analysis of the Glenn Greenwald video. I'm starting to think this nigga might be gay.
Thank you, Chuck Steak, for the $3. Yeah, I'm on my 12th watch personally. Some guy in the comments on my clip said, like, why would you watch that? And I said, it's journalism. It's called doing journalism, okay? But the real question is, why would I watch it 6 times? That's called having a hobby.
Tripping, bro.
Come do something.
Man, that's why y'all had security, man. Y'all was on.
No Jumper was cracking.
The whole time.
All right.
Man brought a knife to.
Come do something.
No, there's no way.
All right. Anyway, okay, whatever. Time for niggas in the news. Speaking of niggas, still graduated with all Fs and 133 absences. Thank God. 400 absences, 6 failed classes, still graduating. Well, the 133 turned into 400 really quick. Maybe 400 was across his whole high school career, although that seems kind of low. And then he posts his classes. What the fuck is this? Ident Power Armed. What the advisory? Failed English, failed math. By the way, the statistics on blacks in America being able to read and do math are like abysmal. It's like 80% of high school students that are black cannot read. They can't read. They can't do basic math. Whoever believed he graduated is dumb. At the most, he just walked across the stage, so you won't be allowed to enroll next year. They're going to give you a certificate of completion. They will not give you a diploma. And then he posts his diploma. San Diego Unified School District. And this is what people like this sound like when they try to read.
Why they just in? Why gynecologist, moflies, mosquitoes have officer goddamn being really we're in the us. Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, I'm more worried about black people than genetically modified mosquitoes. Everything is behind a plastic cage. It's funny because studies show this makes consumers buy less, and this applies to me too. I'll buy elsewhere. Yeah, no shit. This is another indignity that you have to suffer if you live around too many black people in America. If you're unfortunate enough in America to live around too many black people. You can't buy some fucking laundry detergent without going and finding an employee at the Walmart or the Walgreens or whatever and saying, "Excuse me, sir, could you please hand me the Tide?" Fortunately, I don't live around enough black people to have to deal with this. But I like how she says, like, it's funny because studies show this makes consumers buy less, as if it's just an idiotic choice on the part of the store owners. Like totally ignoring the fact that your option is between having people buy less or having like everything get stolen. It actually is like a totally logical choice from that perspective, that we either make less of a profit or we just shut down because people are stealing everything. And eventually a lot of these places end up shutting down anyway. Hairstylist stabbed to death in parking garage by man who told cops, "I killed someone," and walked away. Haley Hotsford, 24, was getting back into her rental car when Jackson Sagis ripped the door open and attacked her in Sunrise, Florida.
My daughter, my love, my gift from above. Nothing in this life can separate us. If ever you need me, just reach deep inside.
I don't know if this is like a video from her Instagram or like a tribute video they made or what.
Tonight, a family
Just another day in Nigga Town
is mourning the loss of a 27-year-old businesswoman who was stabbed to death in Sunrise. A second person was also attacked with a knife, but he survived. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Juwan Strader.
And I'm Lorena Englang. Police say the man who did it is now behind bars. And NBC6's Jamie Garolo spoke with one of the victim's family members. How are they doing tonight, Jamie?
Well, not good. They are still processing everything that's happened over the last 36 hours. And while they're not ready to go on camera just yet, they did give us a statement.
Tonight, we're learning more about the woman stabbed and killed in Sunrise early Wednesday morning. Haley Hosford's Instagram page highlights her success as an entrepreneur and expert stylist at just 27 years old. Hosford's stepfather tells NBC6 she was an incredible hairdresser and businesswoman. In a statement to NBC6, her stepfather added, "Our family is destroyed. This is beyond horrific. We wish this upon no family to deal with something like this. It's really incomprehensible based on all the facts, and the situation is senseless."
There was a dead person just laying in there. There was blood on the car that was next to it. And I pulled out, and as I was pulling out, all these cops were pulling in. I would say there must have been 15 cop cars coming in at the same time.
Hosford was stabbed in the neck to death in the back parking garage of an apartment complex across the street from Amerant Bank Arena. Police responded to the scene after the man she was with called 911, also saying he was stabbed in the neck and throat. An officer found Hosford's body on the floorboard of a black Mercedes. She was pronounced dead on the scene. A steak knife was found on the front passenger seat. The man she was with rushed to the hospital.
I saw it as I was kind of turning, and there was blood all over. I thought, I've got to call the police, but I saw them coming, and then I just left.
The man stabbed was able to give police a description of the attacker. A short while later, police arrested Jackson Sagasi Jr. Police tracked down Sagasi at his apartment and surrendered. Detectives found a knife in his front pocket that appeared to be from the same set as the knife in the car. Hosford's stepfather also telling us, quote, "Our prayers are with our family, and we're looking above to Haley, and it's beyond devastation and sadness."
Now, the suspect allegedly made a confession, although that confession was redacted from the arrest form. He is charged with premeditated murder. Police say the attack, or the motive for the attack, remains unknown. Reporting live tonight.
Yeah, it's a hate crime. It's pure racial resentment, like it is a lot of the times this shit happens, these interracial murders. And of course, they're not even talking about that because they never do when it's a black on white murder. They're instantly talking about it with the guy who torched the Jews in Colorado. And they're holding that guy on a $10 million bond, even though it's not actually clear if anyone died. What's the bond we're holding this guy on? 50,000 or something? $250. Okay, I need to talk about Glenn Greenwald some more because just the amount of people defending him, the amount of comments I had to read on the clip that I made of like, well, he does good work and this and that, and you're an idiot who's falling for the Israeli psyop, and you can't just let them go around blackmail. And I have to like elaborate some more on the Glenn. Also, Glenn has been like tweeting furiously, and he is losing support from what I see. So more people now, many more people than on Friday are now coming around to my side and seeing things more from my perspective. But I was watching this Sargon video where he talks about it, and he's basically giving that same kind of take that it's like, this is like an Israeli op. And here he's going through the Tucker Carlson, because this is what like a lot of people said to me. They said, oh, so you think it's just a coincidence that the Tucker Carlson thing came out after? Like, first of all, the Tucker Carlson thing came out 2 days after, so I'm not really sure how they're supposed to be related, or how like one's a punishment for the other or whatever. But people are saying like, oh, he talked to Tucker and he talked about Israel. That's why they're blackmailing him. And like, look at this, right? So here's Sargon saying the same kind of thing.
Probably has quite a lot to say on that. Our political tribalism is destroying society, yeah. The two main reasons why the establishment hates Trump, why Trump's opinion on NATO changed Tucker's worldview, who really hacked the DNC. That's an interesting thing. But then you get to, was Jeffrey Epstein working for foreign intelligence?
You see that? You see that pause and that Jim look at the camera there?
Epstein working for foreign intelligence.
Right, so this is what people are saying. They're saying, oh, this is why the Jews took him down, because Glenn Greenwald blew the lid off the whole fucking Epstein scandal. And I meant to pull it up, but let's just go take a look. Oh, this isn't it. Who is that? Bill Gates? Bishop Robert Barron. Okay, where's the Glenn Greenwald? Hold on. Dude, what the fuck? It's not. Oh yeah, this is it. Okay. So let's watch here. Sorry, I should have had that pulled up. I meant to. Was Jeffrey Epstein working for foreign intelligence?
With or for any foreign intelligence agencies. There is no way they don't already have that answer. Maybe the answer is no. Maybe he wasn't working with any. It would shock me, but maybe that's their answer. Maybe their answer is he was. Why don't we have those answers? Like, have FBI agents, for whatever reason, go through those sex tapes for the next 3 years. That's fine. What stops them from releasing that question, that answer now?
For people who may not be as familiar with the details, what leads you to raise that question? Is there evidence that suggests he might have been working with the foreign intel agency?
Well, first of all, the source of his wealth has always been mysterious. I mean, he wasn't just very rich. He was living the life of a multi-billionaire. He had, $50 million properties in Manhattan and West Palm Beach and
New Mexico.
Bought that island, New Mexico, flying around on a 747. This is not just like somebody who's very wealthy. This is somebody with essentially unlimited resources, right? Like Bill Gates type wealth. And his primary benefactors is Les Wexner, who is a multi-billionaire, somebody with whom he worked closely. And I guess the argument or the claim is, he was a brilliant strategist for how to save taxes, how to save money on taxes.
He was like a highly competent accountant, basically.
Yeah, like a tax accountant.
Yeah,
that's what tax accountants do. They tell you how, what strategies to use to save money. So maybe Les Wexner valued him so much that he gave him, I don't know, $3 billion. In general, billionaires don't like to give money away that they don't have to. Maybe Les Wexner is like super generous. Like, oh, so grateful to Jeffrey Epstein. Here's like $2 billion. But Les Wexner has all sorts of ties to like his main non-money making endeavor in life is supporting Israel and donating to pro-Israel groups and working closely with the Israeli government. Ghislaine Maxwell, who's now in prison as having been essentially his right-hand man, her father, Robert Maxwell, who died in a very mysterious way, he slipped off his yacht, was a known Mossad agent. He worked with the Mossad. He had very close ties to Israel. We all know
He's given a state funeral.
Yes, in Israel.
Yes.
And, you know, when I did the Snowden reporting, there's a lot of documents that we released that, and just because there were so many, they're not all of them got the attention they deserved. One of the set of files we released described the intelligence relationship that we have with Israel, the NSA has with Israel. Israel is the #1 recipient of NSA technology and NSA intelligence. We share more with Israel, even more than we do with the Five Eyes partners who develop this technology. We give more to Israel, more intelligence, raw intelligence about Americans.
He's basically changing the subject now. I mean, you get it. Wow, really, really hard-hitting stuff. Let's all set our watches, because I'm sure the fucking arrests and executions are going to happen any time now. It's over for Bibi Netanyahu and Wexner. With Lex Wexner, it's over for these people. The whole Glenn Greenwald just blew the lid off the whole damn thing, saying a bunch of fucking nothing that everybody has known for a decade now. The stuff from the Snowden documents, by the way, Glenn Greenwald, his big stories that made him famous, like the Snowden story, was handed to him on a silver platter. And then he failed to protect Snowden's identity. So how is that a great journalist? But this is he goes on Tucker Carlson for like the 25th time, by the way. How many times have Glenn Greenwald and Tucker Carlson interviewed each other? He goes on Tucker Carlson for like the 25th time in his career, says nothing new that hasn't been known for like 10 years. And people are like, oh, this is why the Jews are trying to shut him down. And then if you say, I don't know, man, maybe we should find somebody who isn't a degenerate to get our news from. People are like, oh, so you want the Jews to win. At least 10 plus 15 to 20 total interviews between the two. And also, like, if you insist on having a good Jew who talks about Israel, why not just Dave Smith? Dave Smith talks about Israel and he doesn't put videos on your timeline, you know, sucking on black feet and sucking on black spit and shit like that. You already have a good Jew. What do you need two for?
$3 gays are just like you or me. I like to wind down after work with a cold beer, while Glenn prefers a gallon of diarrhea. Is there really a meaningful difference?
No, it's just your private personal life, and there's no reason to care if it's not illegal. The thing about Dave Smith and Glenn Greenwald is that, like, neither of them go hard on race. Dave is a lot more honest about that than Glenn ever will be with his interracial fetish. But you can't ever rely on a Jew to do that, because Jews have just as much to lose as all the other nons if white people start tribing up. Right? You go back to America in the 1920s, they were trying to pass the Immigration Restriction Act because Americans did not want more Jews coming to America. And they lost that battle. The Jews won that fight and stopped that law from getting passed back in 1921. And that was really kind of like the domino, I think. If you were trying to look at where everything started going wrong, it was when they they tried to say too many Jews are coming in, we don't want any more, but they failed to stop it. You know, and then that was a domino that led to like the Hart-Celler Act and everything else down the road. And there was this, I saw this tweet from Jeffrey Kaufman. Is that his name? The Odyssey guy. He's Jewish also, libertarian. And he was talking about, you know, libertarians. He's talking about how, oh, well, you can still like hate gay meth heads and be a libertarian. Like those aren't incompatible. You can still have your social opinions as a libertarian or whatever. And I was kind of thinking like, okay, but when there's the most socially conservative societies that have existed are ones that have had laws on the books where like homosexuality was illegal, interracial marriage was illegal. So, right? If you look at like 1950s America or these, you know, Middle Eastern Muslim countries that these are like the most socially conservative places, they do have laws against that stuff. There's no place really where they don't have laws and that doesn't happen, or they do have, this is what I was thinking, or they do have laws and that happens anyways. But then I remembered, wait a minute, Weimar Germany, it was probably illegal to be gay in Germany. Let me see. When did I didn't actually look this up. Legalize homosexuality. 1968, right? So it was illegal in the 1930s Germany to be gay. But Weimar still happened. So, but is that because the policies are wrong, or is that because that's what happens when you just have too many Jews in the same place? And that's what it really comes down to, is the demographics is destiny aspect of this, which is why you can't really rely on non-whites to ever go all the way on this kind of thing.
TBF, Glenn, one of the biggest journos giving real info about UK war, Israel, deep state, etc. Possible they do want take him out. But yes, uber gay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, he has a big platform because these, like I said, these stories were handed to him on a silver platter. Anyway, my friend Murdoch Chan, she says age of consent in Brazil is 14, which it is. I looked it up. You can have legal sex with a 14-year-old as a full-ass grown adult. Homosexual Jew Greenwald lives in Brazil. Homosexual Jew Bap lives in Brazil. Noticing. Yeah.
Very interesting. One more observation in my Jew log.
And Twitter is taking down and locking people out of their accounts for posting just screenshots of the Glenn Greenwald stuff. The Quartering says, I was banned twice this weekend for reporting on the drugs pictured in the Glenn Greenwald video leak. I didn't post the video, just a screenshot of the drugs, and got 2 separate bans, and my posts were deleted without the option to appeal. Crazy. I'm old enough to remember when Elon Musk said the main impetus for him buying Twitter was Twitter censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. This is like the same kind of story. This is, a public figure is doing drugs and probably hiring prostitutes and like being a degen, but all of a sudden we're not allowed to talk about it because it's non-consensual. The images are being shared non-consensually, so they're going to take them down, ban them. Uber Soy, his tweet got taken down, the one that I showed on Friday's show, where it was a reply to Glenn Greenwald's statement that he put out. And Uber Soy replied and he said, you followed the account who posted it, and you retweeted, and it's obvious this is just like a big humiliation ritual for you, and you're on drugs. And that was like one of the top tweets pointing out these important contextual aspects to the story, and they removed it from X. They deleted the tweet, locked Ubersoy out of his account. And then, so for the record, Glenn Greenwald now is denying that he retweeted the video. So this person said, may I ask respectfully why you retweeted the video? Accident? He says, I didn't. If anyone thinks about it for just a second, they'd realize how preposterous the suggestion is that I do something like that, quietly delete it, and then think nobody would notice. I've been around a long time. I'll address some key points on my show tomorrow morning. Well, no. So we think you did it because you wanted people to notice, because you have a humiliation fetish, which I don't know. It's what a crazy idea. How can we have possibly got the impression that you might be a meth head with a humiliation fetish after a video surfaced of you seemingly on meth being humiliated intentionally on video? It's preposterous. It's so crazy that anyone could think that might be the case. Did you address it on your show? Apparently not. Apparently he didn't address it. What is the story? You were hacked? Okay, he definitely retweeted it. The screenshots of showing that he retweeted it, those are not fake. It is confirmed 100% that that's real. You can still find tweets that are replying to the deleted tweet. Max Abrams says the ass kissing of Glenn Greenwald is really something else. This guy's probably a Jew, I'm assuming. He's described by his many fans as some intrepid, once-in-a-generation journalist who follows the empirical evidence wherever it leads without ideological bias. He invited me on his show to debate anti-Semitism in America. I came armed with scores of studies by different authors with different data and methodologies, all showing that anti-Semitism has risen substantially and significantly since the Hamas massacre on October 7th. Glenn came armed with exactly 0 studies for his claim that actually anti-Semitism has not risen since October 2023. He was unmoved by piles and piles of empirical evidence and was unable to identify any methodological problems in the many studies contra his data-free claim. There's an obvious inconsistency between his reputation and reality when it comes to Jewish issues. His fans must not care. Now, obviously, we all know anti-Semitism has risen since October 2023. We know because we celebrate it over here. We cheer it on. We say the noticing. Can you believe the level of noticing that's happening? So this guy, who is obviously thinks it's a bad thing, is not wrong when he says that it has risen. And if Glenn Greenwald is denying that, then he is wrong. But this is why magatards love people like Glenn Greenwald, because they do this whole like, no, the left is the real racists, and Patriot Front are a bunch of feds, and we love everybody over here in the GOP. So they'll argue that till they're blue in the face, even if it defies everything that you can see happening in front of your face, because they're just pandering to the base. Jason Whitlock said, can you separate Glenn Greenwald's courageous journalism from his immoral, degenerate personal life? And now Glenn, he keeps writing these big, massive tweets everywhere, replying and talking about this, and he's really losing a lot of support because of these tweets that he's writing, like this one, for example, where he says, serious, thoughtful question. How have you been able to separate what you regard as Donald Trump's
Hippity Hoppity sent $5. The noticing will continue until morale improves.
Yes, God willing. How have you been able to separate what you regard as Donald Trump's inspired and noble political leadership from the repeated behaviors in his private life, long considered deeply immoral and degenerate under the most widespread and long-standing Christian and Western moral dogma? Overlapping affairs and marriages, serial adulteries, affairs with porn stars that he paid to cover up, closely cavorting with Jeffrey Epstein after he was publicly convicted of sex trafficking minors. That's not true. Boasting of grabbing women's pussies without asking. Yeah, so being a normal man. I could go on and on. Not that it isn't like lustful in that, but you know, there's just such a big difference between, first of all, I don't know if Donald Trump cheated on his wife here or there. Maybe he did. People dispute that. People say he never actually had sex with Stormy Daniels. I don't care enough to like really have an opinion on it. But even if he did, you're still equivocating between a guy who had an affair and a guy who like dresses up like a girl, gets high on meth, and then sucks up a black man's spit because he enjoys being humiliated. These are not the same thing. One is like normal, if unfortunate, but kind of understandable, giving into temptation. And the other one is like, you are fucked in the head, man. What is wrong with you? How did you let yourself turn into that? They're not the same. For his whole adult life, Trump lived the life of a libertine Manhattan billionaire, not even close to a paragon of sexual moral virtue. For his fervent admirers and followers like you who are suddenly grappling with this profound question when it comes to me, now how have you reconciled these varied and vast contradictions so peacefully when it comes to someone with far more power named Donald Trump? Yeah, I mean, for one thing, Trump's been a big disappointment recently, and I'm not even going to get into all that, but it is... Trump 2.0 is looking more and more like Trump 1.0, maybe despite some honest efforts on his part. Like, I don't think it's necessarily all his fault that he's not really getting much done. You know, there's this whole Palantir thing. I said this at the start of the show, but there's things I'm not going to bother really getting into. The Palantir stuff, I don't know what to tell you, man. I know people think it's really important and we should all be like freaking out about it. But if there's one thing I've learned from looking at the Epstein shit and similar stories, literally every living person in America could know about Donald Trump putting us all in a Palantir database and nothing would change. It wouldn't matter if everybody knew. A lot of people do know. There's just powerful people who are going to do what they want to do, and there's not much you can do about it. And freaking out about it is probably, in a way, counterproductive for you if you obsess about it, right? There's just not really any kind of takeaway there that I can give you. How do you avoid getting put in the facial recognition date? I don't know. Maybe mutilate your face on a daily basis so they can't track you.
Chinaman Flu sent $50 on Rumble. I enjoyed your debate. I'm tired of all these sexual deviants and the conservatives that make excuses for them.
Thank you very much for the $50, Chinaman Flu. Really appreciate that. And yeah, exactly. You can't count on people who aren't, you know, I know the atheists and that and all that don't want to hear this, but like I don't feel like I can count on people who aren't God-fearing Christians who go to church and try to live a righteous life. Even if those people make mistakes, as long as they are willing to acknowledge the mistakes and repent and shit like that, Yeah, DLive is not working right now. I don't know why. It just Restream won't let me connect to DLive. Anyway, sorry, not to piss off all the non-Christians like I always do, but I just feel like this is why I'm a Christian nationalist. I want whatever. We don't have to get up. That's another tangent. There was also like some big drone strike in Ukraine, and people are saying World War III is starting because they crossed the line with their attack on Russia. I got nothing for you, man. So people are not happy about him attacking Donald Trump. That was not the best tactic for him to take. And Matt Walsh says, I would just like to point out that it was only a month ago that Glenn Greenwald attacked me and labeled me morally deranged for arguing that gay couples should not adopt children. Safe to say I've been pretty well vindicated on this point. One has to be morally deranged or totally ignorant of the grim realities of kids lingering without parents in orphanage shelters and foster care, only to be expelled at 18 with no support, to believe that that dark hell is better for kids than being adopted by gay parents. And then posting the studies, of course, showing that as long as there's no studies on if you're more likely to get sexually abused by gay adoptive parents.
Yes, this sort of behavior is not only abhorrent, but is ripe for blackmailing, etc.
What they do is they study outcomes and then they say we're gonna control for everything that isn't the sexual orientation of the parents. And so if there's abuse, that's like a control, like, oh, that they don't count because they're abused. You can look this up. I'm not making this up. Look up if you can find a study to see if adopted children of gay parents are more likely to be sexually abused than adopted children of straight parents. That doesn't exist. They've never done that study. Because at the same time that gay adoption started being a thing, the whole entire academy was already paused and completely pro-gay and just like a propaganda machine. So they just don't look at stuff like that. Full stop.
A child being in foster care is far from an ideal scenario. It's very, very sad. A child going to two gay parents, I think, is worse. I think it's easily worse, actually.
Why?
It's just more disordered. It's more confusing for the child. Again, neither scenario is good. We don't like either thing, but I don't see going to gay parents as an improvement over the what they had before. So
do we know that it screws kids up, or we just sort of intuitively know it?
I think we intuitively know, but also there's been plenty of studies done about the mental health effects of kids that grow up in these, single-sex, same-sex parent homes. There's been a lot of studies done about it, but honestly, you can look at the studies, people will fact check, and they're there. I don't need studies for this. It's the same thing with the trans.
Exactly. Yeah. There's like a million studies that show that like cutting off your dick will make you happy. Okay. At a certain point, you have to say, I don't know if I can trust the academy. I don't know if they're really unbiased, if they're really doing serious, rigorous inquiry without any kind of bias. Greenwald was asked specifically about the apparent meth pipe in the video, and he didn't deny it. Instead, he said he's proud of his personal life. How can anyone defend this? There are 3 children in that home. Does anyone really think that a home with hard drug use and male prostitution is an appropriate or safe place for children. This is exactly what I replied, essentially, the same sentiment that I replied, that he should be drug tested by a CPS, whatever they have in Brazil. More people are coming around though now that Matt Walsh is saying the same thing. Andrew Breitbart clips. I'm trying so hard to see past the video, but the demonic eyes and meth pipe really bother me more than the yeah, so just trust your gut. Yeah, the reason his eyes are dilated, by the way, in the video is because of the drugs that he's on. That's why people were saying it doesn't look like Glenn. Yeah, his pupils are dilated because he's high as fuck. Would love to hear some acknowledgement of your use of this dangerous brain-altering drug, or why that meth pipe was present. By the way, somebody told me that it's hard to get meth in Brazil, and it's more likely that it was crack, that gay people in Brazil smoke a lot of crack because it's hard to get meth. So just, you know, let's not assume, let's not make assumptions that it was meth. It actually could have been crack. Is that better? Probably not. Probably doesn't really help a lot, frankly, with any conclusions we're going to draw. The way crack/meth impacts the brain can absolutely impact your journalism professional life. I want to know. Glenn says, the point I've made from the start is that the moral and ethical code I believe in for my own life is one I am satisfied I am fulfilling. The fruits of my personal and professional life and the values they represent speak for themselves. I'm quite proud of them. This guy's proud of his personal life. I feel no obligation to confine myself to the various moral codes others profess to believe in when it comes to private behavior. So basically, yes, I am doing meth and or crack, and how dare you suggest that that's any reason to cast aspersions on me, or wonder whether or not I'm reliable, or whether or not I'm fit to care for children, etc., etc. I know who I am both in public and private. For those who know me best and who I care most about do as well. I don't feel I own anyone, let alone I don't owe anyone an obligation to explain or justify those personal choices. I'm not running for office. Blah, blah, blah. So basically, yes. So again, when he says, why would you think that I would intentionally retweet this video that would be like, you know, humiliating or just like reputationally damaging? It's like, well, the question of intent becomes a lot less pertinent when you're dealing with a drug user. You know what I mean? What's the what's that fear and loathing line? Never turn your back on a drug. You know that one? You can turn your back on a person, but never turn your back on a drug, especially when it's waving a razor-sharp hunting knife in your eye. This is the problem. This is the problem, Glenn. You are using drugs. You're using hard drugs. We're watching drugs are expensive. I mean, Glenn has a lot of money. He can afford the drugs and the prostitutes. You know, he can afford the drugs and the 14-year-old Brazilian rent boys. It's legal. Hey, man, you might not like him fucking 14-year-old boys, but it's legal in Brazil. So mind your business, okay? My wife and I are watching Breaking Bad. She's never seen it. I'm rewatching it with her for the second time. Well, first time rewatching for me. And we just got past the part where they meet like Gustavo Frayne, and Frayne tells them to come meet him at the the Los Polos Hermanos, and he says, I'm not going to work with you. And then Walt goes back. He's like, why won't you work with us? He's like, your partner is on drugs. And he says, you can't trust a drug user. Okay. Wise words from Gustavo Frayne. Really begs the question as to what's going on at Glenn Greenwald's Jungle Ranch for Wayward Boys and Dogs. This was posted back in March. So this is from Glenn Greenwald. It's always been one of my fantasies to take a girl doll and shove it into a guy's hole, feet first, and have only the top of the doll's head and long hair sticking out of the hole, and then have the guy crawl around barking and wagging his tail, which is really the doll's hanging hair, while I yank on it and step on it and braid it, cut it, and then set it on fire. Which doll would you try for that of the ones you posted? Have you ever had a scene like that before? You like to be called Fido or Rover. It's almost like there were signs. This is from August 2003. It's almost like there was always signs out there that maybe we should have known. Do any of you pigs know the best bars and clubs in Toronto, especially ones with go-go boy dancers, escorts, and similar things? I'm going there this weekend and looking not only for cock, but also in order to find the hottest Toronto guys for a new line of videos sponsored by a major gay magazine. You get the idea. I checked out his link as you suggested. Hold on, spoke too soon. Maybe you don't get the idea. Just so we're absolutely clear here. A lot of you seem to like Lucky. Did you think that he looked 18? I didn't, and neither does he. He says he looks like he's 14. Here's what he had to say about his services. I have a very specialized service, boyish child look. Incest, pedophilia, or child molestation scenes offend you, please find another escort. Scenes. Using the threat of a negative review on this site to escorts makes them much more cooperative and accommodating. A few weeks ago, I was with an escort who had relatively high hourly rate, $250. At the end of the hour, he said, do you want to stay another hour or call it quits? I wanted neither of those options. I wanted to stay for another half hour and not be charged more. So I said, I'd like to stay another 30 minutes or so, thrown it into the first hour. And when he looked a little befuddled, I said, you wouldn't want a review posted on Who Boy complaining about what a clock watcher you are, would you? It worked like a charm. He said, no problem, you can stay. And I then had sex with him for a full extra hour, without a full hour, mind you. 2 hours straight of having sex. Definitely things that you do without being high on meth back in 2003. Okay. Gross. By the way, this is a quote tweet of an esoteric Shaggy tweet from Bronze Age Pervert, bragging about knowing what Brazilian rent boys.
If I recall, GG was the first big name to sign on as the anchor for Rumble's live stream function. Oh, how the Methhead have fallen.
Yes, he has the Rumble logo on his X account name. So he's like still, you know, proud partner. Right, look, right there. Rumble. This This is the new blue check mark you have to show your elite status. You have to have some business endorsement thing next to your name. All right, anyway, so Bap talking about his Brazilian rent boys.
All those guys are gay for pay, which in the contemporary world means gay for clout and attention.
That's interesting. I know a Brazilian rent boy who's gay for pay, who's a Leo. I did not know that was a Leo. That was a Leo, but that makes sense.
By the way, Esoteric Shaggy has disappeared. His last tweet was on March 4th, or no, hold on, March 28th, after Captive Dreamer doxed him, which this is his dox here, but he posted Martin's face over top of his own. Hey man, I don't know what to tell you. Like a week before this, he was coming after me, trying to bring up shit. He found one of my old dating profiles from a adult friend finder website in Montreal from like 2014 and was trying to come after me. And it's like the Assad meme. Who must go? Sorry, Esoteric Shaggy, who must go? No one knows what happened to him. He just stopped posting, probably choked on a dick or something. Moving on. It's Ho Math. This screenshot of a Ho Math tweet has got a lot of attention on X over the weekend. He says, it's way too late for me to have a real life. I'm not getting married. I'm not ever having a real relationship. I'm never going to build a house or buy one and make it the way I like it. I don't have the time or energy for any of that. I am an adolescent until death now. I got no chance to start any sort of a life that makes sense. You know I'm 40, right? I'm not in great health from stress issues stemming from the pandemic, and I can't handle 100% of my own needs, never mind a family. What does that mean? Who's taking care of him? By the way, people are saying the Rumble stream died. I don't know what's does seem to have disconnected. I don't know what happened there. We're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon here. I can't handle 100%. So a 40-year-old man can't take care of himself. Health, not in great health from stress issues stemming from the pandemic. What the fuck, man? What? This is the most feminine shit I've seen in a minute. This is like people give me shit because I kind of like Andrew Tate. This is an example of why, because Andrew Tate will tell you, like, you as a man, you're not allowed to have poor health from stress issues. Okay. As a man, you're not supposed to let stress ruin your life. What does it mean? Like, and what from the pandemic? Like you were, what does that mean? You were scared of getting sick? What does that even mean? Sure, there's a lot that I can contribute to the world, but I'm not going to get much back for it. No matter how much money I get, there isn't much I can do with it. Maybe get a nice place to live or a car, but not a real life. What a weird defeatist attitude. It's a very bad attitude to have, that that you're not going to get rewarded for your effort. That's the kind of headspace that lets you get into bad health. Oh, guess what? If you go to the gym, you're going to get rewarded for your effort. You'll get rewarded for just about any effort you put into anything that is worth doing, really. So this is a very bad mentality, very bad headspace to have. And then there's this other tweet from him here. He says, I don't know what he's replying to because Twitter was acting all weird. Maybe if I try it again, it'll load. But I think like maybe these tweets are deleted. Okay, no, it is working now. Okay, so God bless you for not giving up on young men. They certainly don't want to learn, and it's a struggle to get them to listen. He says, it really isn't an option. I don't have any reason to live at all if I don't have anything to contribute to. And if young men don't figure this shit out, everything I care about will die. My own life sucks so bad after all the disasters that ruined my chances to have something worth having, that all I have is the chance to show others how to make the best of what they have. It's not really a blessing. It's that nothing means anything unless I can get people to understand how bad they're fucking up. And if nothing means anything, then life better be pleasant, and it's not. Jesus, this dude needs to go for a walk. He needs to go for a 2-hour nature walk and leave his phone at home. Bro. 40 isn't even that old, dude. I got married at 38. And I met my wife 3 months before I married her. Yes, I got super fucking lucky. I am super grateful to God. I won the lottery. Okay, not everybody's going to win the lottery. But you could. It's not really winning the lottery. It's actually, most guys are married. This is like another one of these myths that the black pillars try to tell you, is that only like 20% of guys will get married. It's actually most guys by 35 are married or have been married. It's not that mythical. It's not, you know, it's not that unlikely. But giving up is like becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you don't want to have this mentality. And then, so Joel Berry said, the guy who rants about white genocide genocided his own kids. This is a whole math tweet that says, if it wasn't for birth control and abortion and slut culture, I would have 70 kids. The first one I knew about would be 14 now. This is what drives me crazy. This is my same problem. No, apparently he doesn't have any children. This is my same problem that I have with like the fresh and fit guys and any of these kind of red pill guys who complain about slut culture while simultaneously partaking in it. It's total fucking hypocrisy. So you banged 70 different sluts and you would have 70 different kids if it wasn't for slut culture. That's a paradox, first of all. That's like a contradiction. But also, why are you doing that, dude? Did you ever think that maybe all the time you spent doing that was time you could have been spent turning yourself into husband material? It's like guys who complain about how they want pornography banned and they want pornographers put in jail, but they watch porn. Bro, really? You think that's how it works? These red pill guys, they complain about sluts, but they go out and they fuck sluts. What are you doing? And Dave Smith said, I'm pretty sure this is a lament, Joel. And I said, actually, this is like a rare Joel Berry W. Because this is fucked up. And if your actions have led to multiple abortions, 70 is, I think we can agree, hyperbolic intentionally. And he also says birth control, which is like, you know, just because you have sex with a woman on birth control doesn't mean she would have got pregnant otherwise. But obviously he's not saying that his actions are responsible for 70 abortions, but he is saying that his actions are responsible for probably multiple abortions. And that's like a huge you problem, dude. You did that. And now you want to blame women for something you did. And this is what these guys do, is they cry and they say, oh, it's not fair. I don't get to force them to have the kid. It's a society. The police need to step. I mean, abortion should be illegal, but it's not an excuse. That's not an excuse for your behavior.
Thanks, LP, for calling out hypocrisy. God bless your family and white people.
It is a lament. Okay, but take responsibility. He's blaming slut culture and birth control. He's not taking accountability. You're retarded. This is how they think right here. You're retarded, I see. How is it his fault that the other woman murdered his child? He has no say in the matter. Women are currently legally able to murder their children without input from the father. Boo fucking who? Did you think about not inseminating a slut? How could this have happened if it isn't the consequences of my own actions? Anyways, he'd probably be a lot better off if he did get one of these women pregnant and became a father out of it. You know, that's another paradox, okay? There's some things are paradoxes, because that's what happened to me. I'm not telling you to just go out and get a slut pregnant and try to become a father in a kind of irresponsible way. But that's what I did, and it was like the best thing that ever happened to me, okay? That's called a paradox. That's not a contradiction. Just because something is ill-advised and you shouldn't do it doesn't mean it can't also be the best thing that ever happened to you. It's like that Jordan Peterson clip that was in the show last night that I never talked about, but he's talking to one of those atheists, and the atheist is saying, if God knows everything that is going to happen, that means you don't have free will, because you can't change what's going to happen because God already knows. That seems like a contradiction, but it's not a contradiction. It's a paradox. Those things are different. Just because you can't understand it doesn't mean it's a contradiction.
I've noticed how Homaf seems like he's our guy. I'm rooting for Homaf perfect score.
I mean, look, I hope things work out for him. I hope he is as lucky as me. He meets a good woman, gets married, has a family. It's definitely not too late at 40 as a man. If you're a 40-year-old childless woman, good fucking luck. But as a man, it's not too late, which is why it's so awesome. One of the many reasons it's so fucking awesome being a man. Yeah, like, as much people like to complain about how women have it too good, but would you actually want to be a woman? No offense, ladies. I'm just saying. I'm pretty happy with with the hand I was dealt. Sexually speaking, sex speaking. The one chick was in love with him for years and cheated on her boyfriend with him because he finally looked at her. Probably would have kept it if she thought that would keep him. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, anyways. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Yeah, I mean, look, I have nothing against the guy personally. I have no problem with him. But he has a bad headspace from these tweets that we're looking at. And you should be careful about getting your worldview from somebody who's in a bad headspace, because they will blackpill you even if unintentionally. All right. Yeah. All right, you guys. Have a good day. I'm going to be doing a gaming stream tonight. I'm going to play more Darkest Dungeon 2, which I'm totally fucking hooked on now. The first run, I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on, but after doing a couple more runs and learning the mechanics, I'm like in love with this game now. I love it. So I'll play some more Darkest Dungeon 2 tonight. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with another show. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you on the flip side. PL.